Hi guys, hopefully you can hear me. Irene was talking to me on chat. So before we get too far, if someone could say yay or nay to the idea that we are live. It says on the provider when I went to go get online that there are some provider service issues on their side and that they're working on it, but there was no timeline for that. So I'm not sure. So I think that we're good because my phone is working. So hopefully you guys are out there and you'll find us. Okay, let me pause that really quick so then that way I'm not listening to myself on the little tiny speaker. Um, how are you guys today? So I have a shirt to show you. It says, "Sometimes I question my sanity." Now, this is Debbie's gift to me. So, this is the way it goes around here. So sometimes I question my sanity, and then the rest of it goes like this. Nope, wrong way, wrong way. The rest of it says, "With my chickens, but my chickens told me I am fine." Hi, Betty. How are you? So this is my shirt for the day. Thank you, Debbie. Everyone has really enjoyed it that has seen it. So they know me too well. So anyways, let me go to switch to the actual camera so you can see us working on things, and I'll be right back. Okay. All right, guys, hopefully you can see this okay. I am hoping. And I'm going to really try hard to stay on the mat, but there may be times where I'll bring it out a little bit. And hopefully that will work as well. How is everyone doing? Let me, while we're waiting for a few others, show you what you get with this magazine. This is a use your own stash. I wanted to show you what you get as part of your stash. So in here, let me unsprawl everywhere. This is the magazine. This is what you would see that you would get inside. And so it's just got some really pretty things just right away. I don't think that I realized, I didn't even really look at the cover of the magazine, maybe subconsciously. But we have these beautiful Cloud9 pearlescent shimmer inks, and I really wanted to try them to show you guys what they look like, how to use them. They're beautiful. I've made a mess already on Debbie's beautiful things. But I ended up going with a lot of this kind of color scheme, not intentionally. I just really liked the colors that were sitting in front of me. And then I realized after I opened up the magazine and I really looked here, because I was busy when I made the decision to do this, that I really liked the stamp set. And so this is what I pulled out. This is what I looked at. And it's green and red and, typical Christmas colors. And I didn't even realize that they have a whole section in both reds and golds and a pink and blue inside. So it's really neat. There are lots of neat things to do. The other reason why I chose was for this little nativity. But I felt like there are other ways that we can be using and give you the opportunity to see things. That one should be a fairly quick one to do on your own. So here in the magazine, this is their version of the nativity. I just thought that that was really sweet when I saw it. I think that I would like navy tones with some gold embossing star on it. I think that I would really like that. And so that is what I came up with, was different ideas, but I settled on my own because I really wanted to do these inks. Here's another one. This one is beautiful to me. Isn't that gorgeous? So there are some really pretty ones and some great examples in here. I believe that there's 3 or 4 different artists that showed. Here's another person's version. But these showed various different ways that you could do your stamps. So hopefully I can be a good addition to this portion. We'll see. So these are the stamps that you get with the set, and then you get a full stencil as well. It sits on here. My stencil is already set up and prepared for today, but what I'm going to tell you is that it has this lovely little shape in the stencil. It also has I believe it's something like 15, not 15, that's not possible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, I guess I was pretty close. There's about 14 different stencils that you get. This is just one of the main shapes in there, but there are other stencils that you get along the edges where you don't see this cloche. It's along in these parts. And so you've got anything from greenery to ornaments to lots of different things. And you could totally have a blast with this in a lot of different ways. So I'm going to go ahead and start. This is one that I made ahead of time. This is one that we'll be doing. However, because I set up my stenciling work and masking work early, I made the decision to go ahead and do our more entailed one as our first go around. So hopefully we'll be able to do both. Oh, she's okay. Tech issues as well. Heat index 102. Yeah, it's not that hot up here. However, thank you, Andrea. However, the heat is not here, but the servers can be somewhere else, and it's an issue that they're working on their side because they're based out of California, which I know is very, very hot today, depending on where you're at. My parents were going to drive down for a family member's event, and they couldn't just because of the fact that it was just way too hot, and it would have been really hard not only on the car to drive, but being in the car to drive. And so they just decided that they just couldn't do it. Approve the cover of my new book. Congratulations, Betty. I'm glad to hear that you've got a new book coming out. It's been a little while from what I can remember. All right, guys, I will try and double check for questions. What I will do is that I will try and talk through each thing as usual. I'm going to let you know right now that I have to wrap up really close to 5:40. So I'm on a deadline, and that's because it's just me here today. And with the new mail system that we have, somebody's got to take the mail, and Debbie and Bryce are gone, so it's me. Anyways, so we can get the mail out for today. All right, let's see here. So for this first set, the card that I'm going to do, I have used the little cabin. Little cabin, the littler of the two deers, the little mountains that are behind, and then we'll be using the stenciling portion a few different times. Oh, and this little fir right here. So I want to show you something. This is my inks that are already, it's kind of my little damper to try and get used to what the colors are and how light or how dark I can make them. And you can see all the shimmer on a paper towel. Look at that. It's gorgeous. You could totally use your dabbing beautifully in lots of different ways. So, in fact, up here on the corner, you can see the blue that I have, and it's just because I've sprayed it down with a little bit of water to help kind of keep it not quite too dark for what we're doing. So, first things first. One of the things that I had to do in order for this to work well was that I had to do a mask. And so I'm going to put a new mask back on. We're going to just do a quick one here since I don't know how long ago we've talked about masking, but I felt like I should probably have that conversation and not just assume. So, and hopefully, since the last time that we did some masking, I honestly did not have time with doing lots of different things between here and home. I did not have time to see Debbie's last stamping class last week. So if she went over masking again, I apologize. But otherwise, I'm not sure that I remember a masking project recently, but I could be totally wrong. I've been known to be that, lots. Okay, so I've taken and I've put my stamp down. And why is it important to mask? The reasons, I'm sorry, Annette, that you're having a chatting issue. It's probably because of the heat. And again, I have no idea if it's working or not working. So if somebody is having trouble on their end, I will try and check the video here and there to make sure that it's still going. So hopefully it works, and I'm not actually, you know what I'm going to do really quick here. Sorry, guys. I'm going to do it this way. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this playing in the background, and then that way I know if it's actually working or not. So I'm just going to kind of keep an eye on it. Okay. Sorry, guys. Let me get there. All right. Hopefully it's all okay. It looks like we might be frozen. It's raining where you're at. Irene, I wish I had that. Little bit of a delay, but I know that that's reasonable. Okay, so I think that it's working. I'll keep my eye out to make sure that it does, that the screen changes on my little phone. And hopefully we'll have a good outcome for the rest of the day. Okay, so anyone that didn't hear at the very, very beginning, they sent a message saying that they were having server issues with the live stream provider that we use. And because of that, it's going to mean that we have an issue based on being able to possibly have this die. And I think it's due to the heat. The storms, I believe they're based out of California, so I'm going to guess the heat. Anyways, okay, so what we were talking about is masking. So these are our little Post-it notes that are fully sticky on everywhere, and they work great for masking. We also have the sticky mitts that Hunky Dory sells. I know that they were on sale the other day, and that is great that they were. I am going to show you, just because this one is a little bit more muddled, I guess is the best word to use. So I have taken and I have put in, I'm cutting out this big tree right here. And there's a method to my madness. I want it to look like I am far away with this little cabin. And so I don't want to have the big one there in the tree line. And I'm going to change my tree line by using my smaller tree line stamp. and those also require masking. So in order to do this trick of the eye, you'll have to cut it, and I don't, did I leave? Nope, I took that one out. Okay, so I had originally tried to do the mountains as well, and I think that's why I took out the bigger tree. So I might put it back in here, but I couldn't get the mountain to work. I felt like it would have taken me, I could have gotten it to work, but I was worried about the fact that it would take me forever to do any of this. So twofold, I'm still going to leave, I'm still going to use what I cut out. I took these, and I'll show you here really quick. I took, and even though these trees are here, and let me bring it in just a little bit. So even though the trees are here in the separate piece, I literally just cut those pieces out and I laid them where I wanted them to lay here. The reason why I did that is because I want to have a halo effect around my actual pieces of material, pieces of my cabin, because I want to be able to have the colors that I want in here. The stencil is going to be right here waiting to be painting in the background. And so I want to give it the ability. And the reason why is because if I want to color this, this is where I started. I knew that I was going to have to mask. I was fiddling around and playing to see what it was going to look like. And I found that it still created, even though I was really careful, it was so small of a space. I wanted to make sure that I did it right. So I went ahead and I cut each section out. So I have a free floating house. I have these two trees. And then I took and masked in my little guys. So this is the little one. It looks like this. Just stamp and mask it, and then choose which section of trees. I cut out the taller tree and I just put in the smaller ones on each side. And so that's what I put here. So then that way, when I'm doing the stamp in a little bit, it will just look perfect on our sheet, because we will have masked that off and you can see the trees really well. That's the hope. And so that is where we're going first. So you'll want to make sure that when you do cut out your mask, it looks like this, and then cut down and around the snow. So then that way we've got our halo effect again. We can always add in extra color, but we can't take it away once it's in there. So that's our goal. Oh man, I just forgot. My battery is almost dead on my phone and I have nothing to plug into it nearby. So hopefully somebody can get my attention if it starts to cut out. Okay, so first things first, we want to use our stencil, which is on here. I taped it all down. So here's our stencil. It looks so much prettier than that normally. I did a mask for the deer. I did a mask for my trees. And then I did a mask. I did a mask for my little bit of fur that's up here. And I cut the fur. Let me see if I still have it handy. I probably threw that extra piece away, of course. I took some of my fur that's right here. And what I did was I stamped it and I just cut along the main ridge line here because some of it is going to be on the outside of the card section, but the other portion of it is going to sit inside our cloche. So I want to make sure that when you see it, you can truly see the whole thing and not have it mixed up because of other colors. So that mask is there for a reason. However, you will get more fur over in here when we get ready to stamp. So does that make sense to everyone? Hopefully. If you say, no, it doesn't make sense. So I masked my deer, my little deer. I masked my house. I masked the fur. I cut and I masked this. I cut this section. I cut the big tree out of the middle and then just used 2 ends of this one for the mask. You can see as I pull them off, I'll re-go over them. I cut out the big trees out of here because I'm trying to make it look and appear that it's further in the background. And then my little deer, this one took up too much space, so I chose my small one. So hopefully we can go through and it will do exactly what I'm hoping. I've tested the theory a couple of times. I'm going to use this as my clean off sheet. And away we go. Okay. So I want to do my background first. And my background I got from doing this light blue portion of Lisa Horton's Cloud 9. It is a pigment ink, so it's deep. They're deep colors. They are a little translucent. You can see through them. It's almost similar to using what you can use water, and that's how I got the lighter colors, because this is actually fairly dark. The other color that I used was the teal. And keep in mind, the opposite color that you see on here is black. So this yellow is what you get immediately, and the pink is on black. This pinkish purple is on black, and the teal is what you see. So you can see off of these the different colors that will happen. So this greenish yellow will happen on black, and this will happen on white. So I wanted to have a little bit of teal in there, not a lot. So I took and I just put my brush, I rubbed my brush really well with this one, and I rubbed it very lightly. I put a spot right here. So I'm going to do the same kind of thing. I just don't want to put too much on the brush. So I'm going to clean it off pretty fast. And then I took the teal and I put it in there. And then in order to keep it light, I just sprayed a little bit of water and then mixed it in. So the goal is, and I've kind of left it sit for a little while, so I need to kind of add the water back in order to make this work. You're going to see that I will have darker edges when I pounce or dab, but it floats the pearlescent right to the top, which is nice. I really like how it just brings it right to the top. You can see it on that page. So I want to make sure that I'm not going to get too crazy dark. That's looking pretty good. So you can see how much water, hopefully, I added to it. Let me make that a little bit further out. So you can see how runny it is. And I did have some already sitting there that had dried from when I was playing earlier today. So you can wipe out as much as you want by pushing your brush. Let me move this way a little bit. Come out a little bit wider. Okay, so you can, in order not to get too heavy, look, my brush will pick it all up. So it's pretty much all gone. It's all in my brush. So because I don't want it to be that dark, and it will be if I'm not careful, I want to get some of my liquid out of the brush. So give it a good squeeze, good push. And then just test. Just test on do your little pounce and then test. So this has a beautiful little snowflake area on here, and I love it. And all we're going to do is kind of create an area around in our cloche that gives us a little bit more space for these stamps to really shine through. And you could end up with it a little bit dark. If you feel like you want it lighter, you'll have to kind of basically do some practicing at this to get the feel for how much you want as far as light and dark. I didn't want to fill in absolutely everything. There's some lines in here that kind of make it feel whimsical and almost like some snow lines. So that is the end of that one. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to start taking out, taking off the masking pieces one at a time and putting what I want in its place. I wanted my deer to stand out. I didn't want the deer disappearing. And this is the really cool thing whenever you use one of these types of platforms, when you use the Position It, if you use this one, if you use, there's a few different ones out there that are platforms like this. And we have just the perfect little place for my deer right here. And if you're keeping everything snug and close by, with the magnets and holding it in place, we'll be able to literally stamp right in that hole. So that'll be wonderful. I'm very happy about the outcome of this one. Okay. And I put all of this extra here because I did not want to end up accidentally getting blue into the rest of the card, because I want to use this card blank that's here on the front as my back, as my actual card front. This one I chose to go ahead and go with our Distress Oxide pigment. Excuse me, not pigment, oxide. It is a pigment. Pigment and dye ink. So it's got some, it should give us a little bit more deep color to it. And then if I still need to do more, I can always put on the actual extra stamp. I can put on black, for example, and color that in a little bit more. We'll see what happens here. I did not leave space for his antlers very well, it looks like. But that's okay. We can always fix it. Now, where did my wipes go? There they are. I think I like it with the brown and not having any black in it. I think that it will give the deer more realistic features. And clean off your deer, set them off to the side. We won't need them again. And we've got colored pencils to fill in our deer with some color. We'll talk about how to get rid of the halo here with colored pencils. Or you could use your brush again. If you have one of the really fine little brushes, that's probably your best outcome. I'm going to take and I'm going to just use our colored pencils inside. So some of you may know that my family moved to the country. Some of you guys may not know that we moved to the country, hence the craziness of chickens and the fact that I have 22 and only one rooster. So far we have lucked out big time. So I'm very thankful for that. Because the one, I think it keeps time with the clock because he crows every hour, almost on the hour, even during the night. So it's one of those things that that I'm very happy that we have him. He's beautiful. But I hope that pretty soon he figures out when he is supposed to crow. and call it good. Okay, so there is my pretty little deer. Now I can either come in and I can try and do a little bit of watercolor with my little bits of, and use a water brush. So I can go in like this and then just come around and add that little bit in there. But I am going to go ahead and use one of our smaller little brushes. That's our stencil brushes. Pounce it off and look at what you can do with just a little tiny brush. Get on some of that water. And now I'm able to blend that in so we don't have such a halo effect. Give it that little bit of ability to blend. And I'm just going to try and lift just a little bit because it got a little dark around the edge. And you can do this because it's water. So it's a water ink base. So you get a really great option of how to fill in that halo if you're a little off with your cutout of your mask, which is where it went wrong with mine. I didn't have it quite on target. Okay, my next one, I can take my fur mask off. Fur, that doesn't sound quite right, but you know what I mean, guys. Okay, and now I'm going to take that fur, and I know that it's going to sit right here. Actually, you know what, guys? I might just wait until after I take off. I think that I'm going to actually save that for last, at the very, very last, actually. So now I want my cabin to come in. So I'm going to take my cabin out, but I want to keep these trees here because I don't want them to be so big. It will make it look like they're too close, and that your deer will be out of alignment with that. So want to make sure, and I can see just right here that I'm going to need to do a little bit of fill in as well, which I knew because I cut it. Okay, I cut the mask, and I wasn't so finely, I didn't do a lot of fancy cutting. So it's got a little bit of space throughout the bottom where the snow is, and it may look perfect just the way that it is. So my goal is to get those big trees out and get my cottage in here just nice and pretty and sitting there lovely. I think I'm going to stick with the brown. Actually, let's try this one. This is the shimmer brown. And I'm looking at it, and I don't want my snow to look brown because we don't want snow that's brown. That's gross. So we'll just put that in there like that. Let's see where we end up. If I have to come back in and add in some lines, I will. These stamps come in so easy and so nice. They really have have a nice layer to them. I'm not having to shove on them at all. It's working really great, actually. And it looks like I've got a little bit of extra water space in there from the stamp. Okay, now we're going to take off the tree mask and the little mask with the little trees. And you can do this over and over again, or you can just really truly change it up however you want to. You cannot do so many trees, and you can do the mountains instead. I may have to do the little trees again because I need some extra right through here. You know what? I might change my mind and do the mountain instead. Maybe not. Yep, it'll just take too long for me to do it on the fly. I take a lot longer than Debbie does at things, as you guys know. So I'm just going to, because there's enough space around, I'm just going to take and have that water. Oh, Annette, that is a good idea. I can tell you that our spot is very sealed and there are not any spiders in there. So I hope that you can figure out where it is coming from. And a little bit of that tree. I think I'll have to come in once I'm done. Okay, so I have this side that I want to do, but I know that I don't want it over into here. So I'm just going to take and where is my little mask for that area? Okay, I guess I'm doing a secondary mask. That's okay. Good thing I've got lots of goodies. And it doesn't have to be perfect because it's just a mask. So I use the Graphic 45 ink because it's a hybrid ink. If I'm going to be putting stamps down and coloring with water in between, if I don't want it to bleed, I don't want it to have a problem, then hybrid is really the way to go. But I'm not adding water into the colored pencil areas, so it's safe and I don't need to worry about that for this particular item that we're doing. Okay, so here we go. So I don't want, if I'm looking at my stamp, I want this side in here, right here, and I'm going to let it just kind of trail off, but I don't want the big tree. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to decide where I want this to go, how much of it I want. There's the big tree. So this is the side that I'm lining up. Does that make sense, guys? You're lining up the opposite of what you want there. So if you're going to mask something off, you're going to take and mask off what you don't want and leave what you do want on the stamp available. Sorry, guys. Let me add this in here. Just like that. And I want it right up against the house. So we're going to take our little tree line. Set it down. And I'm going to do it one more time. I want to make sure that I wipe it off my stencil, so then that way I don't accidentally bring the color in a little bit. Now I want something different for the other side. I want to bring in the opposite, right? So the one that I don't want is my big tree again. So when you take in to do this, you're going to have to cut out your big tree. Yeah, actually, maybe the big tree might not be a bad idea here. Yeah, let's go ahead and use the big tree. So we're just taking out the opposite. Let me clean it off so that I get a clean start and not end up with it everywhere. I already have tons of ink on my hands. So, okay, so when we put this down, we want the big tree. What we don't want is these goodies. So I'm kind of lining it up where I can see where my lines are. Put that right up against the house. Okay. There we go. Uh-oh. Stamping pad is a little too wet still. It just rolled right off. Okay. Huh. Interesting. I don't know that I have heard that trick before. Annette? There's only been a couple of them found in Oregon, but I bet you that have bitten. But I don't know if they verified or not that it truly is something that that is around to stay, or if it's not. So I just keep it clean and hope that nothing comes in. That's my goal. Sorry, I'm getting some blue and moving around too much. So, okay. The other side of the big fat, wipe off any excess that I have, and then lay it down. And you can see that it goes, maybe you can't, but you can see that it goes right. I'm always worried that you guys can't see. It goes right to the edge of that cloche, the actual stamp does. So let's take a look. Oh, look. Here we go. going to go ahead and do it one more time. Maybe see if I can get it a little bit more defined. So I've used both sides of my tree, and that has totally made it look like we've got trees right up next to the house. Now I'm just going to take my water and my brush and kind of lightly put it into place. Again, we don't want that halo effect, so we're going to just try and dab in a little bit. And it will spread underneath and not bleed out the rest of the ink if you do it in very small amounts. But if you do any more than that, I'm worried that you will find that it will change the color of your ink, because it's not, this is the Cloud 9 and not the hybrid. So. Okay. And in fact, by having those trees in the shape that they did, it kind of gives you a cloud effect, almost like, and it was totally unintentional on my part, but it works out quite nicely, I think. But it really makes it look like you've watercolored throughout it by doing it this way. Putting in some extra here and there. And now I just have to color my cabin. And it really won't take a lot because you already have all the brown. You could make it, what would happen if we gave it a little bit of red instead? Bet you that would look better. Yeah, I think that will work better. Looks like an old barn this way. With the brown. If I'd done black, maybe painting the brown in that respect, painting in a brown color would probably have worked very nicely, but I think this is going to just be really pretty. Okay. When I'm done, I think that I need to make a little bit of gray on my smoke. If I did not grab gray. That was horrible. Okay, I'm making my smoke a little pink. I'm thinking that I will not have time to, but I would, especially with this pearlescent, I would take your stickles and really play with glistening up that snow. But by the time that we get to it, we will not have a lot of time for it to dry. So I may add it on and see if I can make that happen and still be in a good timeline for dropping off everybody's orders. So we'll see. Put some yellow in the window. And now I'm going to take this and move it off because I've done all my masking. I've done my card itself. Isn't that pretty? Now you can cut it out if you want to. And in fact, for the other one that we're doing, I'm cutting it out. But for this one, I really just wanted to leave it with this extra outer edge. And it's because I want to do something that sounds like it would be fun. Note, guys, it was washi tape that I was using to hold down my stencil, and it came up so beautifully and didn't make anything stick to my stencil like adhesive. Other forms of tape maybe would leave a little bit of sticky behind, but I did it with no sticky. So it naturally comes with the snowflake right in here. Here's our actual stencil so that you guys can see it. It has it does have a little bit of sticky, and my back page, you can see, took off that little bit. So there is a little bit of sticky. If you want to take the time to clean that, you totally can, or you can leave it. And I doubt that it's going to be too much of a problem for your stenciling. So you automatically, because you see it like this, you automatically want to make your snowflake and your cloche this shape. But I want to let you know that if you want to make it from the other direction, you totally can. So, in fact, that would be fun with the little car if you put the little car a little bit further this way, and then it looks like it's kicking up snowflakes. Okay, so on here we've got some snowflakes, like I mentioned, some holly, some pine cones, some fir, and it looks like I got a little bit of bleed through, so that's a little disappointing there. And I left the fir and then forgot. I totally wasn't thinking, and I covered up my white. Okay, so I'm going to take my fir. And I want to put it right along this edge right here, like that. Remember to make sure that your stamp is upside down and it's smooth. I'm just going to make that bottom section really dark. Oh, there we go. Actually, that looks quite nice. I was worried about the blue, but by making it a little bit darker, it works out quite nicely. Okay. Now, I know that Debbie has a little red plate around here somewhere, foam plate. It may have ended up over at another spot. Let me go get it really quick. I don't know where her little red foam pad went to. It's probably to the left or right of me, in a drawer, you name it, but it's not where we normally have it. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my little cleaning cloth, set away my stamp for just a little bit. Cleaning cloth goes down. Now, you should be able to see approximately where your cloche is, but it works out really great if you just take and put this on the back side, and you should, with a little bit of help, be able to find the approximates. And the reason why we're doing that is because I'm going to make yep, that looks about right. I'm going to take and tape it down and just mark approximately where this is sitting. So then that way, when we do the next little trick, we know where it actually is set. And so, let's see, I've got a pen. So I'm going to take and just mark a light line on this side. You may be wondering what I am doing. And then up here. Okay. That gives us just enough of an outline to know you can totally use pencil. I just didn't have it handy. What we're going to do is we're going to take our little pine cone here, and we're just going to put it around in a few places. And it does not take much to use one of your small little balls, ball tip. I've got the tiniest one that I've got from Hunky Dory. You can use your heartfelt, you can use whatever you would like, but we're going to go in and we're going to push that forward. Okay, and it doesn't look like much from up here at this moment, but I promise it turns out really neat on the other side. And if you're using the Hunky Dory ink me, and I'm sure that I'm not using the right term because the Hunky Dory Essentials pad of paper, that is the correct terminology, you won't put a hole through it. It's really a great paper to have. Now, they did something very similar to this by doing two colors that were light and dark and giving it more color, but I thought that it would be fun to do it, interpret it a little bit different. So basically, I don't have a pine cone embossing folder in this set, and by doing it this way, I'm making myself a little embossing moment and just kind of having a little bit of fun with it. I think I'm going to put one down here. Like I said, we were going to do the more in-depth one first. Go figure. Okay. Anybody have any questions? Anastasia, tell your husband happy birthday. Lunch. Goodbye. Okay, so on the other side, look at those little acorn or pine cone pieces. Isn't that pretty? And I put 2 down here if you can't see. And the reason why, well, you'll recognize here in just a moment. You can add more, take away some. It's totally your choice. I'm doing it with just these, just based on our timeline right now. So going to take your pine cone. Now you're going to have to check to see which way you did your piece, because when you put it down, you'll want to look for the side that has the little tip on it. That way doesn't fit for me, so I know that that one's not it. And I was pretty sure it was this way. But you'll want to take that time to look and see, and you'll want to make sure that you see your ridges in there, or else you will be putting in a backwards or not fully embossed pine cone. If you're worried about getting too close to the other areas, like I am, because that would be the way that things work, right? You go, it'll be fine. Then, it wasn't fine. But you come right in here and you just bring in that pine cone. Oh, it'll be so pretty. Look at that. It's beautiful, and it sticks out so nicely. And I would probably do more if I had the time. But since we need to move on to our next one, I don't want to take too long. One thing that you can do is that if you feel like it's just too dark, you can add a little bit of water to it, push it down, kind of get it in there. This is one of the bigger brushes, so it will hold a lot more ink, which will mean that this will be very faint in comparison to the last one. See? Okay. I'm just going to keep going until they're all done. And this one I did 2 opposite directions. So that is this way first. And then this way next. Now you can take and do the same thing with your fir boughs. I probably would if it wasn't for the fact that I need to keep going forward and finishing. And really the trick with these pigment inks is just, if you want it lighter, just add some water. And it looks like I got off on my item a little bit. our little pine cones, but I think that we can fill it in. Yep, sure enough, look at that. And this one has the bow in it, so I'm going to leave them really close. So I'm going to just go ahead and be extra gentle over here. And it looks like I've got a little bit of water that bled through. There we go. I'm going to use the darker down below, and I'm going to get thinner up there by the bow. And if I had enough time to do more, I would put the fur around, and I'm going to do a couple of them just so that you can see how pretty they look. And down here at the bottom, you can put in little berries. We've got berries from holly on the stamp. And you can mask out your pine cone if you wanted to, and then put on holly. Or if you are feeling daring, you can put on, I shouldn't say daring, it's just a different way that we use things all the time. So you can use your stickles, and we've got red stickles, and put little berries near them. So you can do it in lots of different ways. And because I have fur throughout, I've got the little fir branches up here, I've got the pine cones. It feels to me like this deserves a little bit of a fur. And again, if you don't like them that dark, it is okay. You can always add water and thin it out a little bit. So I'll show you on this side. So here, I'm going to put it on here. I'm going to take the fur, add a little bit of water. This one that the green is called Magic Garden. The brown one that I was using is called Royal Truffle. And I've used the blue sapphire gold and the teal twist. And they really, really do. It's amazing. Okay, getting that extra water out if I want it to be lighter. And then just stop before you get into your cloche. I think that I lined it up pretty good. Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay. So there is your option here for your top. I think that it turned out really pretty. Keep continuing on with your little fur all the way around, and then you're going to cut it to where it's not going to look absolutely perfect, because we don't want it to. And I'm going to go ahead and do that here really quick. And I'll probably go in, because I want to finish it right and I want to do it all. I'm probably going to go in and put in some extra fur pieces. So I cut it at 5.5. Just gonna check my measurements here all the way around. Yes. So this is cut at a 5.5. I can totally make it a little bit smaller and go with 5.25. I'm off to the left a little bit, so I think that I'm going to go down to a 5 just because I think that it would look better. And then touch. So now I have a 5x5 of it, and I'm just going to take and hope that I can find a 6x6 card. And this is going to be the one time that I can't, because that's how that works. I mean, a 5x5 card. Yeah. That is not a 5x5. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm saying the wrong size. I'm wanting to put some Miri in here, and I want a 6x6 and a 5x5 topper. So this looks like it's more of a 5.25 by 5.25. But you get the idea. And I bought some of the new Essential Foiled Miri Card Holly. This just came in. It is gorgeous. Lots of different colors in the pack. I love it. I like the very fine, dainty print that's on it. I really like that portion of it. And so I am going to cut it down. I think I'm just going to go ahead and put it on the card and be daring. Okay. Let's see here. Only buy pretty and cheerful fronts. I obviously am missing out on a conversation. Okay. So Debbie is doing her borders and corners. I'll just cover it now. She's doing her borders and corners on Saturday. She is not officially here, but they connected the stream. They connected the video to a stream. And what they're not positive of is if it will allow you to do chat. And so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take a look at it. Please go ahead and say hello and give it a try, because I think that you still may be able to do the chat just because the video is downloaded. If somebody starts the video later, then you may be not in the exact same conversation at the exact same time. But the chat comes in at when you chat. So therefore, you may not be watching the same thing, but if you just want to say hello and you see a person, you want to ask them a question, the chatting itself should happen in real time. Now, that's the theory that I have, but I'm not completely positive. But give it a try. Go ahead and check on in. Let's see if it works. PTSD is a real thing, and it does exist, and it is very hard for people. Okay. I realized after the fact that tape flags probably would have done me a little bit better. Have I said how much that I love this craft style tape? And we are almost out of it in the store because you can do things like this. And man, it sticks really, really well in a very short period of time. So if you realize that you made a mistake like I did as I was setting it down, you can also make sure that if you lift it up quickly and you don't wait, it will come up without damaging anything. Look at that. You won't see. The only part where that is, that's your stamp that's coming through from the other side. So no damage to your card at all. And now I should have a straight card. Oh, much better. Okay. And I think that this will look beautiful with a little bit of berries, a little bit of stickles. And I think that I've left a nice little spot right here for my saying, but I don't know exactly what I want to say quite yet. So I will leave this. We'll post a picture of it online for you. But isn't that so pretty? And you can see, I don't know if you can or not, but you can see the pearl essence. See that? I can really see it on the house right now. Look at the branches. Isn't that beautiful? So it really gives it a pretty shimmer and shine. And I really recommend these, especially as we're starting to get into doing our holiday makings, that this is a go-to for you guys for stamping. Just be aware, you got to kind of play with it, get a good feel for it, see what you like about it. Okay, so I have this one as the other card that we made, and I'm at 519. So I think, because it should not take me very long to make this card, believe it or not, I should be able to get this done within 540, 545. So as you know, our theme right now is it's Christmas. So the borders and corners that everybody loves, they're so pretty. And I know that Debbie has showed them before, but you can take a look. Please check in, say hello to your friends. And we still have a couple more kits left, but they are almost gone. So, and I'm going to say, I believe that we have a few more. I haven't done the mail for the last 24 hours for the store. We have down to yesterday's mail. So tomorrow, the rest of the mail goes out. So with that, you should be able to, if you want to order it, it should go out in tomorrow's mail. If we still have any left. When I say we have a couple left, it's because I know that there's a couple still sitting up downstairs on the shelf. So if somebody has purchased it, we may be sold out. So it's always a good idea to get things when you can, because that is a favorite. Debbie has a special that is, if you bought the booklet, you got the other one for 50% off. So you can get 2 books of them for the price of 1, which means 48 cards. Boom, just like that. because she made 24 cards with this set, and the other set she already has on video from last year. So if you did not get yours from last year, there is a video out there for them. I believe that we did them last year. It could have been the year before, so I don't want to misspeak. But okay, I took my washi tape. I started in the middle. I have put it down nice and neat and pretty, all lined up. Isn't that cute? And I'm totally going for this very different color scheme for Christmas. I really had full intent of doing these colors, and what inspired me for these colors are these, but why I didn't choose Christmas colors, because there are Christmas colors in here. We've got our green that you just saw. Blue makes a pretty Christmas. We've got red. Look at this pretty red. Isn't that gorgeous? See, nice and bright red. It goes into kind of a maroonish purple on black. But I chose the pinks and blues instead. And the main reason why I did that was because I love the Merry and Bright Heartfelt Creations, Heartfelt Creation colors. So I'm going to just let that sit while we wait, because I need to have that water ready to go for me. And then I am taking a little bit of this purple. It is Warm Chestnut Shimmer. And I am putting that here. Anyways, the Merry and Bright Heartfelt paper pad is so pretty, and it's all in these pinks and light blues, and you don't miss the it doesn't take away from the feel of Christmas. There, that's what I was trying to say. Okay, and then this is Pink Champagne Shimmer. I'm trying to get a little bit of the extra off the other. There we go. Nice and pretty. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of water, and I think I'm going to clean out my brush a little bit up here in the corner, because I think I got too much in there. Yep, sure enough. Okay, pink it is first. Sorry, guys, I'm in here by myself, which means that no movement, the lights go out. So give me just a second. Let me get the lights back on, because I think it does make a little bit of a difference. Doesn't take much, but you got to move. Okay. That brush really soaked in the pink. Okay, much better. That looks about right. Okay, so we're going to take the pink, and it will be watered down pink. And you're going to do every other one. And it is very close in color, the pink and the purple, but there's just enough difference that you will see it. And look, that's so quick, so easy. With having to train a new person, I had gotten this magazine, I guess, about a month ago? Yeah, I think it was about a month ago. I promptly went home and got COVID. And so I didn't feel good. I didn't feel truly extremely inspired. And I was afraid that I would mess it up, honestly. for a class. Probably for myself, I would have been a little bit more likely to go for it, but in the moment I thought, no, I'm going to wait. And so I waited, and then we had a new employee to train. So I am a little bit further behind. And so this was a very fun experiment today. So everything I came in, I did all the mail, and at 2:30 I sat down and I played. And that's what it looked like, because it has just been one of those kind of few weeks. So thank you for bearing with me, but I did cheat a little bit, and I went through the magazine just to see kind of what they had, and I really liked this idea. That's my long version of what I'm trying to get to. So normally I don't look inside and take a peek at all, actually, because I really want to give you guys some different examples, so then that way you're not seeing the exact same thing all over again. This pink and purple look similar, but they are not quite the same. And you'll see it when you lift up from the tape. Anyways, they did something similar to this. It's not exactly the same, but it is similar. And I really liked the colors that I wanted to use, allowed me to do that. And so I'm taking advantage of it while I can. And I don't need any more of my washi tape. This is the perfect example of using your washi tape for extra things. If it's just kind of the stuff for you, I like washi tape utilitarian. I use it frequently, as you guys know. When I do my dies, when I do these types of things, washi tape is a nice little handy thing to have around. What I did notice after I taped it all down was that I had a spot that's shining through on the other side. So there's a little bit of a line all the way around because it wasn't quite the same size. So this one would have to be trimmed down. So here is our first portion of the card. And I don't think I will need the purple again, but not the pink. Okay. All righty. So we're going to take our next piece of card, our hunky dory card. And I flipped it over so that you have, I think I flipped it over. Yes, I flipped it over. So then that way you can see what it looks like on the other side of the corner. I don't know if you can see it or not, but man, the shimmer just comes to the top with this, and you can get a lot of use out of it. Okay, so for this particular one, I did a mask as well. Oh, look, here's my big trees I was looking for earlier. Ha, ha, ha. Okay. Okay. So I am going to mask where I want my gift to go. And I think I liked it down here a little bit lower. And I did my words also with a little mask. It says to someone special, but I think that I would like to change that up And I think that I'm going to go ahead and leave it blue and just put my words on top. So we'll see how it goes, but this is what I did. So on this one, you can see there's my white. It's all nice and clear. And so I made a little mask for it. I just basically went over the top of it. I didn't even stamp it. I just put it on, cut it out around the size, and then I just put that into place like this. So if you do like the white, this is exactly how I did it. And you put your word on. And then just make sure that it's within your cloche. Just like that. So if you make your stamp, you've got your flat side, you're going to put it on just like this so that you don't have to worry about it later. Same thing with your word. If you put it here, then when you're ready, you're going to have it all ready to go. And so the masks stay here. I'm taking this one off, though. I'm doing it different for myself personally this time. Leave your mask there if you want to have the little white trim around it. And the reason why I'm doing this now is because I'm going to give the background first, just like I did the last time. So let's see how dark this is. I think I might want to go a little bit lighter. It really gives you a lot of color, and it goes a long way because I just used a little bit of the brush and put it on. You saw how much went on the tray. So it's amazing how quickly it will go. Okay. So I'm going to go through and do it again. And this time, I'm making some of the areas a little bit lighter than I had on our original. And then I'm just going to add in a little bit of purple right through here. And because it is, and that's why I went lighter on this side, because it is darker than the blue, you can just go right over the top. Make it feel like it's a different reflection. Okay, so I'm now taking my stencil off. Haha, just kidding. I have the little top piece to do. So it's a good thing that we have the platform. Okay. Yes, yes, I like that. Now we have the purple to do for the stencil part, for the little bow. And the first one I did was on that little, was on white with the purple. And I decided, you know, I'm telling you that it works on black and what that can look like, but I didn't do it before. So I thought we would try the teal twist since we use that in our coloring. Let's take the teal twist and see what happens. So I'm just going to come right up into here, get some on my brush, put it on down. It's looking purple on that. I mean, looking teal on that stencil, isn't it? Knowing how the gilding waxes have gone with the Lisa Horton, I am pretty positive that this is going to work. Hence the reason why I'm actually doing it in front of you guys without trying first. So we're going to let that dry. We may need to do a couple of them. I might have to put on extra layers. Let me put another one right here and actually use the magnet just to make sure that I get it. And I layer it up if I need to. I can always come back. So I can already see that it's starting to turn colors on the other one. I'll show you here as soon as I'm done. Now, if I mix these two colors together, I will not get to that pink color because the blue is gold. So it will look different. So we'll let that dry. Okay, we'll see if we need it again. I kind of doubt it. Look at how well that's turning out. Look at that. So this one still has a ways to dry because I did layer it up quite a bit. So it's still not quite showing pink. There's still blue in it. But I bet you when it dries, we're going to see that color come shining through. So here we go. And my decision is that I'm going to take this and I am going to, number one, make sure that this is ready to go in the right space. But number two was I thought, okay, how can I make this so that it will be, that you can really see the package? Because when I colored this one, when I did that, I colored it with watercolors, but I thought the watercolor pencils, but I thought, you know, I bet you that we can use these in a way that will give us a little bit of an option here on how we want to use it. I think I might want to use the purple. No. I'm not sure which one I want. I think I'll go ahead and use the teal. Let's take a look. If I really hate it, then I can always cut out another gift over the top. But I think that this might actually work quite nicely. Oh, look at that. So we'll definitely need to put that little bit of purple right in here at the top. But that's really about it for that side. Then for this side, let's get our little brush in here. Actually, I think I'll use the big brush. That one might be too saturated. It works well with it because it's a different color than the teal is. It's a mixture between that light blue and that teal. So it comes in really nicely there. So yay, I really like that. That makes me very happy. Okay, so now I can come in I'm just going to take a little bit of the purple and it will allow me to come in here and paint the purple throughout. So now I have teal and I have purple. And then I'm going to be able to come back in and bring a little bit of pink to the top by doing the ribbon. And with as much prism that's on this, it could be that it may be hard to see in the camera. So I'm not positive, but we'll take a look and see what we've got. And then my goal, I hope this works. I'm gonna have to just get a second. My goal is to try and lift this just a little bit. And I think I've already got stuff all over this one, so I might as well use it because I've got some ink on that already. My goal is to try and lift this just a little bit. So we're going to let it move. It's going to cause the snowflakes to bleed a little bit, but hopefully this will be a good experiment and not a bad experiment, but we'll see. My focus was the water spray right over the top of the gift and not in the purple. It may be too muddied. Okay, well, I tried and I failed miserably, but that's okay because we can still do a little bit of extra over the top with our hybrids because we can. So that's nice. And I think that it should still work and still give you the colors underneath. Let me get the heat gun on there for a second. Okay, a second isn't fast when the plug-in is somewhere else. Here it is. Okay, sorry guys. And it is 5:45. Okay. It actually turned out really pretty. Look at that, how bright it is. Really, really pretty. Okay, so what's left is pretty simple. I cut out the cloche, cut it out. I've put the bow, I cut that out of the paper. I put it up on some foamies, and I put the card on some foamies. And then I took my stencil And boop, 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 boop. Where did it go? There it is. So I have my card. Cut out your cloche. Cut out your bow. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Pretty, pretty pink. It's there. Cut out your bow. And then take your stencil. And it will seem counterintuitive, but it works. Take your, I think I'll do it here. Take your, any sort of permanent marker, because they're alcohol ink, and just write right here on your Miri. It's okay, I promise. Now, I should say it's okay, but then I should probably put a caveat in there. You need to have hand sanitizer nearby because it has alcohol in it, or you need to have an alcohol blender pen near you, because what you have is the alcohol ink will dye your paper. But if you go through, oh, this is so, so pretty paper. I love it. What will happen is that if you do this, and come through and cut it out, then before you ever put it on, you just take some of that alcohol ink, alcohol wipe or hand sanitizer. You just come in here and you trim it, wipe it down. I'll show you here in just a second. Okie dokie. So this is one that I had pulled out of the package earlier, but it just goes to show you how it works. Look at that. It's all nice and clean again. Look, isn't that pretty? And now you've got a line that you wouldn't normally be able to do, because it would be in reverse. It's on the other side of the paper. I'm afraid that it will come out looking a little bit of a different shape. And I think that's just kind of naturally whenever you put something in reverse, that happens. So you take it, you put these also up on foam squares after you cut it out. They go right here, just like that, on some foam squares. And it turns out into just this really pretty sweet card. So don't forget, thumbs up. Yes, thank you. And don't forget that we do have a class ready to go. Thank you so very much for your time. And I am going to cut off really quickly because I've got to run and do the mail. I've got 10 minutes to get there, and we're about 5 minutes away. So thank you very much, guys. Have a great rest of your night. And I hope to see you guys next week. Talk to you later.